I'm Brian Winch, owner of Clean Lots, America's simplest business.
Hey everyone, my name is Adam, and today I am on with Brian. Brian he started a business many years ago cleaning parking lots, and he has useful tools, a book. Actually, you describe it more of a manual that helps you out. So he calls it, I believe you said, America's easiest business.
America's simplest business.
Simplest business, yes. All right, so Brian, let's just get an introduction and how you came up with the idea to do parking lots, keeping them clean.
Okay, well, I was a teenager, probably 13, 14 years of age, and my dad, who was a full-time caretaker or janitor for the public school system, he did a few moonlighting jobs, spare time jobs, if you will. It was back before they called them side hustles.
Right.
But so this would have been the 1970s, and he did a few things on the side, like cutting grass in the summer, shoveling snow, and also cleaning up litter from a nearby shopping plaza, just a couple blocks away from the family home. And he'd taken me along with him a couple of times when I was, like I say, 12, maybe 14. And it was really easy to do. We would show up there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and before he went to work, before I went to school, and I would help him walk around the property and sweep up any litter material we came across from the sidewalks, parking lots, surrounding landscape into our litter collection tools. And, we were there on a regular basis. It wasn't like, showing up and cleaning up an accumulation of debris and litter material. The whole point was the property owner wanted his property maintained litter free. So we did that, and it was easy to do. It was almost as easy to do as going for a walk. And it would take us, some days 15 minutes, some days 20 minutes, depending what day of the week and the weather conditions. And so a few years later, when I was 21, he passed away unexpectedly at the age of 61.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working a full-time job, and I thought, I want to work for myself. I can't see myself doing this. I barely graduated high school, didn't have a lot of money in the bank, not a lot of skills. So I was kind of limited as to where I could go working for somebody, if you will. So, and also working for myself, so I started looking at cleaning businesses. A lot of people make fortunes, cleaning up after others. And I recalled the memories of helping my dad out. And I thought, well, you know what, let's test the market for this particular service. Let's see if I can scale it, build it into a full-time business. So I did that. I started the business in the fall of 1981. And within 2-3 months, was making more money cleaning up litter from parking lots than I was from my full-time job.
All right.
And I quit my job, and and just built a business from there. And I've been in the same business for over 41 years now.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're cleaning lots. What is the startup cost?
Oh, you can get into this business for pretty not a lot of money, pretty inexpensively. You're looking at simple hand tools, because my service is performed on foot. I don't operate street sweepers. I'm not providing a sweeping service. What I'm doing is on foot, walking the entire exterior grounds area, which would be like the sidewalks, parking lots, surrounding landscape, and with simple tools, just sweeping up the litter material into the collection tool, and a vehicle to get you from job site to job site. A truck, it comes in more handy, but as long as it's reliable, a car works, a van works. And then depending on how you're set up at home, with computers or printer or laptop, or, your preference, a lot of people just can do a lot of things now on their phones these days.
Right.
A simple basic home business or home office setup, and the simple hand tools, and away you go.
Right. Okay. So it's a very low barrier. You mentioned you had no discernible skills and no money. So this is one of those businesses you can start. However, I'd have to say that you did have some skills, because you had to contact all these people, and you had to be persistent and follow up with them, right?
Well, that's right. And I got the motivation because it was my business, and I realized if I don't do certain things like make phone calls, nothing's going to happen. So I think anybody who is motivated to start a business is going to be self-motivated, and they're going to have their own reasons for wanting to get involved in that business. And for me, I decided I liked working outdoors. I didn't want to be in the same office, the same four walls all day. And I enjoyed seeing the results from the work I did. And it's pretty immediate. When you show up at a property and you clean it, and when you leave, you can see the difference you've made.
Right.
And so I did that, and I just basically um, realized that this was something was easy to do, and I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
And you did so far.
Yeah, so far, so far.
Right.
And I shouldn't say funny as it is, but I just turned 62, and so like I mentioned earlier, my dad passed away at 61. So
Mm,
last year, that was deep in my thoughts in my mind. And I'm sure he'd be really proud to see how I turned what he was doing on the side into a full-time business.
right. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, he's he's been on a lot of podcasts and videos. So go out and listen to those too. But a common thing in those other things is you talk about how helping people, like your main job is this clean lots business, but you have your book, your manual. And when people buy that, they can also contact you, and you're not charging like some crazy business coaching fee or anything.
Yeah.
You're willing to answer people's questions and help them out, which I think is very authentic. And you're just doing
Yeah.
this to help people.
Well, thank you. And quite frankly, a lot of people, the so-called business experts, marketers, they've said, Brian, you're stupid. You're nuts for giving away this information for so cheaply. You should create a course, or do this and then charge $1,000 or 1997, like just under $2,000. But I don't buy that argument. I'm making a very good living. I always have made a good living from my cleaning business. And so now I just want to share this opportunity with other people that, you know, nowadays are pretty much in the same situation I was when I started out. Maybe they had a tough time in school. They didn't do well. They dropped out of college. They're basically just a high school graduate, and not a lot of money.
Right.
And so they're looking for an opportunity. And I just wanted to keep my book and the free support I provide as affordable to everybody. And also, it's a way of giving back and honoring my dad's memory.
Right. Yeah, it's very authentic. You're not coming off pushy, not trying to promote a product, even though everyone he does have him, the links in the description to his information. I really admire what you're doing, because I get, I'll turn off a video real quick if I can tell that someone's just trying to push their product.
Yeah, and I've never been hard sales, and it even comes from my business, from my service business. Nobody wants to be given the big sales presentation. A lot of business people, they're pretty smart, and the general public, they're smart. They recognize somebody who's coming across really hard. But basically, I haven't had any difficulty marketing my service over the years, because the way I see it, I'm sharing the benefits with my prospects. Is what I can do for them. I can
Right.
give them a cleaner, litter-free property for less money, and I'd like to share how I can do that for you. And basically, that's all I'm doing. It's like when I first started the business and I started the cold calling, and just going through the old Yellow Pages phone directory and let
Right.
my fingers do the walking. And so my prospects a property management company. So I would contact them, and I'm not trying to sell them anything. All I was trying to do, and am still trying to do these days, is just get the contact information. Who is the decision maker? And I find that the best results I get is from still continuing to compile my own prospect lists, because a lot of people, they want to jump ahead a couple steps, and they'll go rent an email list or rent a direct mail list or whatever. And but you got to be careful, because a lot of those names are out of date, or
Right.
they're compiled from subscription listings, etc., which aren't always accurate and up to date. And so a lot of times it's a waste of money. So just for a little bit of your time, you can easily, regardless of whatever business it is, compile your own more accurate prospect list, and then start prospecting from it.
Right. So that leads into, so we know how you got them back in 1980s. You had a call. Seems like a business where you need to go find customers. You can't just list some customer finds you. You need to propose the value to the people who own the building or own the plaza about making it look better. How do people nowadays go about this? Before you answer, I heard you on a podcast maybe 5 years ago. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I made a Facebook page called CNY, Central New York Clean Lots, and just put it up there thinking people are going to come to me and see me. Well, I'm busy in my other life or whatever, my other businesses. So no one ever came to me. No one ever said anything because I didn't do anything. I'm going to assume you need to do more in this to acquire customers.
Yeah, well, besides, prospecting yourself, you do have to be visible. So if you've got prospects like property management companies looking for your service, because maybe they want to go a different direction. They're not happy with their landscaper they're using. They've decided they don't want their building operators to continue providing the service because, quite frankly, their time is more valuable than walking around cleaning up litter. So they're going to do a search online. And so it's important that, but even before you develop a website, is claim all of the free listings on the search engines, like Google My Business, for example.
Yeah.
It acts like a mini website where you can post images and written posts and videos. And then all of a sudden, if someone is doing a search for parking lot litter cleanup, Chicago, for example, the fact that you've got that Google My Business listing, you're going to start showing up in search results.
Right.
And that's just one example. I mean, there's all sorts of great ways. Like some people say, well, Brian, what about Facebook and what TikTok and all TikTok and some of the other social media? Well, what that's not for a business to business, maybe business consumer, etc. But I find and I get really good results by having a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Because just in the search bar you can do a search, property management companies, Tallahassee, etc., and you're going to get a lot of results, and you can reach out and connect with them and just say, Bill, I'd like to connect with you on LinkedIn, and just a brief introduction about yourself. But more importantly, you've already set up your LinkedIn page properly, where it's going to have the little caption under your photo as what you do and how it alerts the prospects that how you can help them, who you are.
Right. So it's easy to get into, low cost, but once you're there, you're picking up trash. And I didn't hear anyone ask you this in any other podcast. Do you pick up gum?
No.
Okay.
Because gum typically gets, like in the sidewalks, especially, it gets just packed down. And there's other services, like, as much as my service is a niche service,
Yeah.
there are services out there that utilize special equipment, whether it be hot steam blasters, or I've seen a couple of other devices where they can just go up and press this onto the gum, and basically it melts it from the heat they apply, and then the gum lifts right off the sidewalk.
Okay.
So yeah, so basically it's any type of litter material, like cigarette butts, fast food wrappers, empty coffee cups, thing, and then any other little thing that people will toss out onto the parking lot.
Right. Do you keep the full cans and return them for the 5 cents?
I did when I started out, but I would collect so many,
Right.
so quickly, and what do I do with all of them? And it, was quite frankly, a pretty messy, job just to, empty them and put them in boxes, because I don't know about you, but a lot of the bottle depots, they want it, when you show up, they want you to put them all in boxes and everything.
Gotcha.
It makes it easy for them to count.
Right.
So I stopped doing that, and I just started collecting them, and I just donate them to kids' minor sports teams and things
cool.
like that.
You said gross. I imagine there's some people with their chewing tobacco, and that would be gross.
Yeah.
So for the people out there wanting to get into this, we covered kind of pretty much. But what do you do with the garbage at the end? Do you take that, or do you put that in the dumpster that's on property?
Oh, you got it. There's always a dumpster on every property. So when we clean up and our tools get full, we just empty them into the dumpster that's on site, and then like any of the common area litter containers, like some properties will have a few, trash containers, litter containers, on the storefront sidewalks for people hopefully to use. And so when they the bags get full, we change out the liner and tie them up, and then toss those into the waste dumpster as well. So there's no hauling any material offsite.
Okay, that's really cool. Gotta imagine that in the winter time when it all gets plowed, that's kind of like when it's going to be a little messier, like a little more cleanup. Like,
Yeah, you know what? It averages out through the year because there's going to be some days where it's cold and snowy, and you still have to make the rounds because you might not be able to see the temporarily anyhow the cigarette butts because they're temporarily masked by the layer of snow, but you're still going to see coffee cups and fast food wrappers that people still toss out, and maybe they'll land on top of the snow. You still have to check the litter containers if the liners need to be changed out, and then when things melt, then you've got more work to do to catch up and everything. But throughout the year it averages out whether it snows or rains. Litter is not seasonal. It doesn't take
right,
time
right,
off. People are littering all the time, and it needs to be cleaned up all the time.
right. Now, earlier you mentioned you're really niched down. You just clean parking lots and common areas. Some people may see this as a springboard into doing the grass and doing the snow plowing and stuff, but I've heard you say before, niche down. Can you explain why?
Well, you're right. A lot of landscapers, and when I say landscapers and even cleaning companies, the larger ones, not the small to medium sized ones, because quite frankly, a lot of the family owned cleaning companies or landscape companies, they want to do what that work is. They don't want to get roped into doing litter pick or litter cleanup. But some of the larger operations that offer every service under the moon, they will, and they presently do litter cleanup for a lot of property management companies because the property manager really doesn't know who else to turn to.
Right.
They haven't located a niche parking lot litter cleanup business, such as mine in their city. So they'll write it as part of the contract specs for their cleaners. And then if it does it oftentimes the results aren't there because our services, it has to be done after hours, early morning hours. But you can't be showing up during the day when you're cutting the grass and try to clean up litter because the cars are going to be parked on top of a lot of this material, so you're not going to be able to see it and clean it. So yeah, we niche down. This is all we do. There was a time though where we were asked to provide some grass cutting and snow clearing in the winter, and that was back in the day when I didn't learn that the customer is not always right.
Right.
And I was afraid to lose their business, quite frankly. So we said yes, and we did it for a number of years, and it just really grew to hate it. And because that's not what we do, to
Right.
each his own. So we contacted our client and said, what, this isn't working out. We hope we can keep doing business with you, cleaning up the litter from your parking lots, but not interested in cutting grass anymore, clearing snow. And to our relief, he said, oh, no problem, Brian. You know what? We're happy with your work here, but we can easily find another landscaper or somebody to clear snow in the winter for us.
Right. Yeah, I find that common too. Just niche down. You don't have to say yes and do everything in whatever business you're in. You can just be comfortable in what you're doing. Now, this business, if you're doing it correct and doing it well, the place is clean and it's always clean. Now, the owner of the building, property maintenance people, they may never see garbage and just be like, oh, why do these people even come? Why are they even, why are we still paying them? Let's stop. So how do you like let them know that you're there and it's clean because you're there all the time?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and then I'll take it one step further. Our customer might say, Brian, you know what, our tenants never see you guys showing up.
Mm.
When do you show up? Like, or do you just let the wind blow everything out of the property? And so we point out our service. We remind them actually that our service is done after hours, but the best way to stay in touch with your clients, to let them know that you are at the properties on a regular basis, is the communication and communicating with them. So as an example, anybody can clean, but we go one step further, and if we happen to notice some property damage, like a stop sign was run down, fresh graffiti where somebody has illegally dumped a sofa and mattress at the back of the building, we'll take a picture of it, and we'll send that to our clients first thing in the morning and let them know, and they can see with their own eyes. Okay, well, Brian and his crew, they were at the building at 6:52 this morning, and here's a picture of fresh graffiti on the back wall, which we don't know about yet. And so they really appreciate that. We're being an extra set of eyes for them. Once again, they know that we're at the property, but they can take that image and just forward it to whoever they use to clean the graffiti, or off the wall, or whoever their junk hauler, waste, trash removal company is, to deal with those things. Oftentimes before the tenants even notice these things.
Right.
And so they get that added value, and that's one of the benefits of being a niche service, because you can provide, go one step further, and give them that extra bit of a detail or attention.
Right. So, like I heard you say, like if the light's out, you'll let them know. So you're going above and beyond. It's only taking you a second or two to take that picture, but they're getting extra value from you, which you're not charging for, because you're just letting them know something, and now they know you're there. And the reason why
Yeah.
it's clean is because you're there all the time. But so everyone watching is gonna want to know, like, how do you price out this job? Because you got small businesses, maybe a strip with 3 businesses there, and then you got big Walmart plazas where there's Walmart and Dress Barn and all these Best Buys and stuff that with huge parking lots. How do you price it?
Well, it's all based on the time it takes to service a property. So when I started out, it's not really a formula, but it's always based on time. And the reason for not being able to charge by the square footage, or having a formula which you can apply right across the board, is because you can have 2 identical properties in square footage. But one is in a high traffic location. Maybe there's a couple of schools in the neighborhood, so naturally there's going to be more foot traffic, especially from the kids that are going to go into that property and create litter. You can also, like I say, have 2 identical sized properties, and one will tend to be more service related, maybe like with restaurants and fast food, and maybe a convenience store, and which tend to generate a lot more trash, like pizza by the slice. Yeah,
Right.
whereas maybe the other building is more professional in nature. A lot of doctors' office, engineers, lawyers' offices. So there's not going to be as much litter material, and so it won't take you as long to clean something like that. So it's something you learn from experience, but every market across the country is a bit different. People are charging anywhere from 30 to $60 an hour, and basically you present your prospect with a contract proposal for example, we propose to clean this property 3 days a week for $450 a month, or depending on the size, obviously, or in some cases, the larger developments, 7 days a week for $2,300 a month. We cover that in detail in the book, but it's
Okay.
also something you learn pretty quickly from experience.
Yeah, going into it, I would just be so confused. I'd never even thought to think like, oh, there's a pizza place, pizza by the slice. That's going to be a lot of plates and stuff. So you got to be observant of not just the parking area, but what businesses and other things are around. So that's great advice. Now this business is scalable. Obviously, you've scaled it to a 6-figure income or 6-figure revenue, but people can do this on the side, what we call side hustles now, right? But they could be as small as they want, and if they've got the population density, they could be not. They could grow pretty big, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's the way I started out as a side hustle. Everybody who buys my book and starts the business, obviously, they're starting out as a side hustle as well. And everyone's motivated for different reasons. Like some people just want to keep it as a side hustle. they like their full-time job and they like the benefits or whatever, but they're looking to make a few extra bucks for whatever reason, maybe pay off some debt or help put their kids through college, whatever that might be. So they're content to keep it as a side gig. And then other people, they have dreams of eventually turning it into a full-time business and actually doing very well with it.
Right. And what is your role nowadays? Are you out there cleaning lots, or you're facilitating everything?
I still do it. I not as many hours as I used to, because I enjoy getting out there. I enjoy working the early morning hours and going for a walk, and helps keep me in shape. I'm still healthy, and
Right.
I don't have any retirement date penciled on or circled on the calendar, because I just really love what I'm doing, and I often think, well, if I stop doing it, what am I going to do with myself? So, I am, teaching and providing free support to the people that do buy my book. So, I get a lot of satisfaction doing that, but I'm having too much fun to retire.
Right. That's great. Now you're a little older than me. But when I think about leaving my business, I start to panic. I'm like, how am I going to get a job? I don't have a resume. I've had a business for 20 years. And then I'm like 1 minute later, I'm like, oh, wait. I don't need to stop my business. I can continue doing it. I don't have to panic about my future job. But
Yeah, and the great thing about being self-employed too is, like, I've got a lot of people that do the cleanup, for us. It's not a one-man operation. I
right,
mean, I scaled from a side hustle to a one-man operation, which I operated for about 4 years, and I was doing over $100,000, a year, and this is back in the 80s. And but at some point, then we scaled it higher. We brought more people in, and now I can, if I wanted to, I could just cut back my hours even more. And I've got people that are anxious to pick up more buildings and do more work for us.
right. So you've scaled to the point where you can take a step back and you have people to handle things, various aspects of the business. I think that's great. Um, last question is kind of more a general one. What advice would you give to people wanting to start the same business that you have, or something similar? Because I've heard you talk about, there was a lady who came and did a peephole in your door, shopping cart pickups, things that don't necessarily require a lot of skill. They just require you to be out there. What sort of advice would you give to people like that?
Well, find something that you would enjoy doing. And like I have a saying, I attribute to my success is I was passionate, patient, and persistent. And you don't actually have to really love what you're doing, and so you're going to eliminate a lot of opportunities that way. But if you feel that, what, I can see myself doing that, I'd like to do that, then you're more inclined to stick with it and not give up so soon, because most businesses fail because people just give up on it. Maybe they're chasing the money, and they're falling for the belief that you can make $10,000 a month, working only 15 minutes a day in your pajamas. And maybe the scammers are, but
Yeah.
but you know what? No, you do have to work, for your money. Whether it's providing a product or a service, and so find something you enjoy doing, and you're more likely to stick with it, and just be patient, persistence, and, like I say, if you work your business will work for you.
That's a good saying. Now, you said maybe not, you might not love everything, but what you may end up loving is working for yourself. Maybe you don't love cleaning up litter in parking lots, but if you are patient and persistent, you'll get to a point where you're like, I love working for myself and making money from other people doing work. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily love picking up trash, but I love being self employed. So you got to give it
Well,
time.
and you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because 4 years into my business, I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden I started, thinking, well, you know what? I'm 24. Can I see myself cleaning up litter? Is that what my life is going to amount to? And I briefly forgot about what doing that provided for me. the lifestyle and the enjoyment of being self-employed, running my own hours, and taking vacations, and the material things. But then it was kind of a reminder that, what, I really do like the hours, and I like the getting the satisfaction of seeing what I'm doing. And what, I don't care what people shout at me, hey, just buddy, get a job. A lot of people, they
Oh
look down
yeah.
at you and they think, oh, this poor soul, he's cleaning up litter for a living. And you know what, the more people that think that, the more money in my pocket, less competition.
Right. That's a very good point. You have to not care about that, because I have a party rental company. I set up tents, and I'm on a lot of the jobs. I run a crew. Other people run other crews, and people just think I'm some dirty guy setting up tents. I got tattoos or whatever. I don't even say anything. I don't
Yeah,
say I'm the
yeah,
owner or whatever. I'm just like, it's in my head. I'm doing fine. I own this whole thing.
yeah,
I don't care what you think.
yeah. Well, and you know what, I've learned that I believe that too, but also sometimes it's been beneficial because I wear work clothing, and it gets dirty, and sometimes someone's just shutting down the pizza place for the night. It's like 3 a.m. and they got an extra pizza, and they feel, maybe they look out in the parking lot and see me, and they feel sorry for me, and they say, hey buddy, you want a pizza?
Right.
And
That's
so I
that.
get free pizza.
That's nice. Well, Brian, thank you for being on today. Everyone, the link to Brian's website and everywhere else is in the description, so go check that out. And hopefully, this is something you can do. And I'm sure Brian's helped change other people's lives. Maybe you're the next one to start a clean lots business and get your life changed. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, have a good day.
You too.